I'm going to take a few minutes to look at tests and quizzes in Schoology. So there's actually two ways to do assessments in Schoology. You have test and quizzes, and then you have assessment. Test and quizzes have been around for a little bit longer than the assessment. The assessment feature has been added within the last year or so. Schoology has mentioned in the past that they possibly could do away with the test and quizzes. Now the new assessment feature has a lot of the same capabilities, plus it's a little bit more powerful. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are using these features. We're going to go to Add Materials, and we're going to do Add Test and Quiz, and we're going to give it a name, due date, grading category, your period, grade scale, and then of course these are the features that we've seen before. I can assign this to different groups of students if I need to. The green dot means it's available to students, so if I want to unpublish it so I can work ahead of them, I need to do that. And of course, I always turn off comments. Once we get in here to our assessment, you can see that it's a blank slate. And the first thing I want to do is add text. So this is where I can do a welcoming. This is where I can give my directions. I can give them some text, and then I can then come in behind it and add some multiple choice or true false questions that they need that text to find those answers. You'll see up here at the top we have our WYSIWYG. So I can do some italicizing, different colors. I can add a link if I need to, and of course I can add a photo if I need to as well. Alright, so now that I have my directions in, I'm going to do is do create, and there we go. So then the next type of question is true false. So you can see we have our WYSIWYG, we have our text for true false. So if I don't want this to say true false, maybe I want it A, B, yes, no. I have the ability to change it. Subjective questions, if I put a check mark in it, it means Schoology won't grade it. I've got to come back in here and do it myself. And of course, I can always align my standards to my questions. So now that I have my question in, you can see that I have to tell it which answer is correct. So then all I'm going to do is do save question, and there it is. And then anytime if I want to go preview and see what my quiz is looking like, I can go to that preview tab and do start attempt, and I can see what my quiz is looking like so far. Alright, the next type of question is multiple choice. So again, same interface. You can see I have my choices here, and then I just have to mark which one is the correct one. Alright, so now I've got my question in, and you can see I have my question, I've got my answers, I have which one is marked correct. If I want to reorder these choices, I can do that. If I need to add more choices, I can do that as well. And you can see I have randomized choice on, so everybody's choices are not going to be A is E.T., B is Star Wars. They will be randomized, but Schoology knows the correct answer, so it knows it will always be E.T. I can put a time limit on this question if I want. I tend to leave that off because this sometimes gets to be more of a headache than I need. And then again, I can how many points it is, and then I can tag my learning standard to this question. The next type of question is ordering. So again, there's my WYSIWYG, and here are my choices. So these are the items that are going to be put in order. And again, if I need more choices, I can add them here. All right, now that I have my ordering question in, you can see we're going to put the Michael Jackson songs in order from oldest to newest. You can see that I have them in the correct order. So if for some reason I were to move, then that means it's going to change the correct answer. So I just have to make sure I have these listed as the right order. Again, I can add more blanks or take blanks off. I can allow partial credit, so since there's 4, maybe they get 2 right. So there we see we can have minimum 2. And so there are 4 things here, so I'll go ahead and give it a 4-point question and save my changes. The next type of question is short answer and essay question. So again, here's our WYSIWYG as we've seen before. I can limit the characters to their answer, so if I only am going to give them 400 characters to answer the question, I can do that as well. Do I want to allow them to answer this question with video or audio? I can. And just as always, I can give them the question with video or audio if I want to. I'm going to decide, is this going to be a short answer or an essay question? Here's how many points this is going to be worth. And for this type, I can align a rubric if I need to. So if you're not familiar with rubrics, go back and view the session that we did with rubrics, and you actually could add one here to this question if you would like. Now that we have our short answer question in, we've got the name the 8 characters from 90210. And so again, this is going to be a subjective question. So once the students submit it, I will have to go in and grade this. Our next type of question is fill in the blank. You can see up here at the top, it gives you your directions. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to type your question, but the word that you want to be missing, you're going to do 1 underscore. That will create a word bank for the students to complete this question. So now that I have my text in, and you can see I've gotten started on it, so we're going to complete this popular song. And so you can see right here we have just a small town, and you can see there's 1 little underscore. And so then if you come down here, you can see I had to provide the correct answer. And so each underscore will align to the answer down here. And so let's see here, where did I leave off? All right, so I'm going to take off the word boulevard. I'm only going to do 1 underscore. I know it's very tempting to do this to make it look longer, but that makes an additional answer blank, so we don't want that. Only 1. All right, and then I'm going to come down here, and you will see that it made me another blank, and I'm going to put in the correct answer. It's going to take all the possible answers and make a word bank. All right, so you can see right now I have a word bank available. So what that will do is take these words that I've typed in to add some choices, and then it's going to take these and then plus the correct answers and put them together to make a word bank. If I turn this off, there won't be a word bank. The students will have to type in the correct answer just by coming up with their own words. All right, so I'm going to provide a word bank. So then I'm just going to decide how many points this is worth. And of course, as always, I can align my standards. Next type of question is matching. So again, we have our WYSIWYG where I can put my directions, my question in. And then we're going to put the question and we're going to put the correct answer with it. As always, I have the ability to add more. I can add filler words, similar to what we have with the word banks, to add a little bit of challenge to the question. Again, I can add partial credit. Subjective means Schoology is not going to grade it. I'm going to have to come in here and actually look at this one myself. All right, so now that we have our information in, you can see we're going to put the actor with the correct movie they appeared in. And so you can see we have Tom Cruise, Top Gun. So those match up. And so that's how Schoology is going to know it's the right answer. Now, if I want to reorder these, I can. You can notice that as I click the arrow, Bill Murray's now coming from the bottom up to the top. But his answer's coming with him, so I like that. All right, and anytime you see this little pencil in any of the answer choices, that will give me that WYSIWYG that we're used to. And so instead of me typing Tom Cruise, if I wanted to, I could add an image of him. So if you're teaching younger students, this would be a great way to make a matching test where they have the pictures. They're emerging readers, and so you can actually add images to help them with this. All right, so you have a few things in these other 2 sections. So if I want to add a page break, maybe I don't want all of these questions to be in one continuous flow. Maybe I want them to do a couple of questions, turn the page to go to another section. I can add some page breaks. I also have the ability, if I go to options, if I want to, I can reorder these questions. So if I don't want the ET question to be the second question, I want it to be the first question, I can move it up like that. In options, you will see that you also have the ability to add these questions to a test bank. So maybe you want to use these questions again later in the year. Maybe you're building your test bank for your end of the year assessment. So I can add these questions to the test bank. It's going to ask me which ones I want. And then the next question is going to be We'll make a new test bank and we'll give it a name. And where do I want it saved? So these are all different collections I have in my resources. So right now I'm just going to save it to home. And I'm not going to put in a folder. So then, when you save your questions to the test bank, you'll notice when I go to add questions, you'll see one of the options is from a question bank. Now obviously I can't add the ones we just did. So I have random order, which means it's going to randomly pull from a test bank that I have, or I'm going to pick the individual questions that I want. And so if I go to my 70s, you can see here's all these 70 questions. And I want to say I want this one, that one, and that. And so you'll see those questions that I just pulled from the 70s ones are right there. All right, now that you made your quiz or test, you do need to make sure you go to the settings tab before you allow the students to use it. Otherwise, you will have a little bit of frustration. So you can see here, you can put some more instructions if you want to. This is what's going to show up when they first log in on that main page before they tap start their attempt. Schoology will default submissions to disabled. So I need to enable it. Now I can enable it until, and so like if I say until Friday at 4 p.m., Friday at 4:01, it will turn off. And then of course this is from enable, from and until. So if I want to say Friday, they can start at 8 a.m. until 4. From Friday from 8 to 4, it's available. But I'm just going to enable it. Time limit, again, personal choice. I tend to leave that off because if we're having trouble with internet, those children who have test taking struggles, I tend to just leave that off. Question review, so they can review the question before they submit it. So after they've answered that question, they can come back and kind of double check their questions. The re-resume. So this is where this might be a good thing to turn on, especially if your internet flickers in and out a lot. So this is if they get kicked out, they can re-resume. View submissions, so they can come back and either not see how they answered, they can come back and see how they answered, or they can see how they answered with the correct answer.